What if I told you that there's a possibility that we get multiple center bosses in the future after Zamorak? Actually, 2 more. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Zamorak and today we're going to be talking about the possibility of getting multiple center bosses after the initial Zamorak Elite Dungeon fight. If you're going to enjoy this type of video, it's going to be a little bit more of a conspiracy theory type of video. This is just a little bit of fun, so please don't take it too serious. I am going to present to you some facts why I actually believe that this could be an actual possibility. I will also be talking about some lore and some history, so I guess a mild spoiler alert if you don't want to get spoiled on certain quests or certain storylines, because I will be talking about it, not in too much detail because I'm no expert. I just looked up some bits and things here and there just to actually strengthen my point. If you're going to enjoy this video, consider giving it a like. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these types of videos. If you want to see more, if you want me to do other types of theory videos, or just in general, give me your theories and your thoughts on this everything, because we're going to go into some detail and maybe you have some interesting rewards that can come from the other boss fights, or some cool mechanics that you want to see, or some demi bosses or sub bosses or whatever. Yeah, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you're new. We're still on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so it's highly appreciated. And as I said, if you guys enjoy this type of content, I wouldn't mind making more of it. So without further ado, let's actually just get into let's get into where this idea actually came from. So I might actually be crazy, right? Because I couldn't find anything back on Twitter, but I swear to all the gods in RuneScape that there were some Jagex moderators that tweeted 5th boss in exclamation marks. Which was very strange to me, but I can't find proof of it, so I might have just been tripping, but that was kind of the whole premise of this video. Like, oh, they tweeted it, so maybe there's gonna be more. But actually, I started to do some research, because I was like, you know what, is that just all the points I can make and then just go into the theorizing part? But a very interesting thing that I found is it has always been referred to as a center boss, right? Xeros is whatever, general, I couldn't think of the name, what's it called, Next is a center boss. Also, Telos is a center boss as well. Well, why is Zamorak not a center boss? Well, probably because it's not going to be in the center of the cathedral, because, well, where the X were, you could obviously make a dungeon entrance, or like a hole, or a teleporter, or whatever, but probably from what I've read online, and the biggest possibility is Zamorak has always been underneath Demonhind, so where Dungeoneering is, so it's a very high chance that it will be the rumored floor 61, if I'm correct. That's going to be the elite dungeon of Zamorak, which would make a lot of sense lore-wise. You could tie in a lot of Dungeoneering lore into that as well, because Dungeoneering actually has some decent lore if you go into it. And as I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail on lore in this video, so don't you worry, but I will be touching on it a little bit. So that's probably what it's going to be, and that's probably why it's not called a center boss. But still, that made me think, like, could it be that we get multiple elite dungeons? Because we already have elite dungeons in the game, ED1, 2, and 3, which is a trilogy, and all the stories tie in together. And usually in games, like, this is actually a video game trope. Like, I literally looked it up, and this is like the most common thing in games. It's like everything always comes in threes, whether it's like 3 levels, whether it's like in this case 3 dungeons, 3 bosses, or 3 is just a number that always comes back within video games. So why would you just make a one-off elite dungeon if you can make 2 more? So that got me thinking, would there actually be a possibility that after this Zamorak one, we can get more elite dungeons? And, well, actually, if you really look at it, yes, because here's the thing. I will flash an image on screen right now of something Zamorak said during the Extinction quest. So read it on your own behalf, because I'm not going to read it out. I'm just read it whilst I'm talking. And he is pretty much mistrusting Seren, which is very interesting, because if you read it, at least when I read it, I was like, you know what, my guy's actually making fair points. And if you go into the Extinction quest, if you've done it, you see that Seren goes kind of crazy after obtaining the X, and you actually fight Seren as well in that quest, because she is trying to protect the X, because she thinks that, I'm pretty sure she thinks that you're trying to destroy them, and she sees the World Guardian as a threat as well. And I generally think that is a very interesting thing to go about. So I was thinking, you know what? And here we go into the theorizing part and just a little bit of fantasy and just fun part of this video. How about if Seren would actually be another center boss? Well, or another elite dungeon. But if that's gonna happen, I don't think she's gonna be the second one. I actually think that she is the third one, because at the end of Extinction, she gave you a threat, which I will show on the screen right now, where she pretty much says that the World Guardian, that she trusts you but doesn't really trust you, and that she wouldn't hesitate to attack if she feels threatened by you. Well, there has to be a reason for her to feel threatened, right? Because I don't think she's just going to attack out of nowhere. I mean, as I said, she kind of went a bit crazy during Extinction, so it could happen, but that would just be a bit random, and I think that wouldn't really fit in the game. But what is something and who is someone that can piss off Seren? Well, Zamorak has a connection with someone, and I generally do think that at the Zamorak dungeon, like the Zamorak Elite Dungeon, you will not be able to kill Zamorak, because in the lore you need an Elder artifact to kill a god, and Zamorak still is a god. So to be able to kill Zamorak, as I said, you need an Elder artifact, and unless you be giving one in the quest or an ability to kill a god without one, there's no way to kill him, so you will only be able to defeat him. But what if Zamorak at the end of the fight, or even during the fight, is telling you that he is not the bad one, but Seren is? And I mean, let's be honest, the World Guardian has been misled before, whether Seren is actually bad or is actually good, right? So you could believe it, but what if Zamorak vanishes? And he is going to look for help to prove his point. And who better to prove his point than a sibling? And the only sibling, well, I'm pretty sure she has more siblings, but the only sibling that I could think of that could be relevant to this story is Xeros. And I think Xeros will be the second elite dungeon that we will be getting after Zamorak, if obviously we would get two other elite dungeons after the Zamorak one, because that would make the most sense. Zamorak has history with Xeros when it comes to being in his army, serving him, and maybe he was like, okay, you know what, I hate the guy, but if I want to prove a point to the World Guardian to defeat Seren, I will have to get the Xeros on my side. But if you don't know about the Battle of the Monolith, I will flash some lore on screen again as well. He went into the monolith, and when he went in it, he left behind some shadow cracklings or shadow anima or whatever, and he disappeared, and you haven't really heard about him since. So it got me thinking, you know what, actually, what if he comes back? What if Zamorak finds a way to bring him out of the monolith and gets him into a dungeon, an elite dungeon? And here comes my theory about the Xeros Elite Dungeon. So ED2 for the Elder God Wars storyline, it will be the wilderness. And the only mistake that I can find with this whole idea is we already have one in the wilderness, and it would be a bit weird to put one in the wilderness as well. But then again, you could say if Zamorak is going to be on Demonheim, obviously it's not confirmed, but it's highly likely, then you could also say that ED3 is also on Demonheim. So it would make sense in a way. So, and also it would make sense with what they said about the Wildy. On screen right now, you can see their announcement about the Wildy. They said that they will have a PvM focusing Wildy with opt-in PvP. Opt-in PvP usually in video games mean that you can toggle whether you want a PvP or not. And that actually lends very well for Xeros, because if he is possessed with like shadow anima and like shadow in general, like from being in the monolith, what is a more shadowy area than the actual wilderness? And that rift in the wilderness where you can get the energy, that has been made, I'm pretty sure, to get one, better experience with the skull, of course, and two, to get more energies. Well, energies are no longer really a problem in RuneScape with the divination update, and if you don't get the boost for the skull, wearing the skull that you can wear in the wilderness for more experience, then what is the point in that rift, right? There's no point at all when you can do, because if the skull only works when you have opt-in PvP, I think even less people are even gonna like risk it at that point. And as I said, there's already multiple ways to get a lot of energy as it is, and energy isn't as expensive as it used to be anymore either. So there's really no point to that rift anymore. And what if it comes corrupted with the shadow enema, or the shadowy substance that Xeros brings back to Gielinor, and that forms the shadow enema dungeon within the wilderness. And it got me thinking, within that dungeon, you can have like all types of things, like monsters, like shadow creatures, nightmare creatures, mossbats, all those like kind of like gory creatures, maybe even Nihils, because obviously they are Xerosian creatures as well. And then you kind of go through the dungeon, just like you would do Elite Dungeon, maybe have some mages, skeletons, zombies as well, because they always fit in everywhere, don't they? And then you get to the first boss fight, which is a corrupted nightmare creature with shadow enema that attacks you with melee and range. Obviously, the first boss in any Elite Dungeon is never really that difficult anyway, so it probably wouldn't be that big of a threat anyway. But then you obviously go on with doing more trash mobs and more nightmare creatures, mossbats, shadow creatures, Nihils, whatever, etc., etc. And then you get to the second boss, a Majorat that can be have a tie-in even with Slisk's lore that is also tied to the World Guardian, because from even Extinction, I read some of the lore that went into the quest. Like, there seems to be some sort of link with the World Guardian and Slisk himself. At least, that's what it seems like to me. So that is very interesting. So, the Majorat obviously used to follow Xeros. So, one of the Xerosia Majorat can, like, be a boss fight with, like, magic and minions and maybe spawn, like, Nihils and shadow creatures and whatever. Like, make it kind of like the Terracat fight in ED3, but obviously different with new mechanics, etc., etc. And that could be a very, very cool second boss. But what if I'm telling you that we're not going to be killing Xeros, but that Xeros is actually corrupted by the power that he was looking for in the monolith, that the shadowy enema or shadowy substance that came from it corrupted him, and that you need to defeat him and free him like you did with Cyryu in Elite Dungeons 1. Spoiler alert, I'm really sorry, as I said at the start, some spoilers. You don't defeat him, he is like corrupted and you need to free him. He is locked up. What if that's the same with Xeros? And when you defeat him, he actually becomes good and he actually realizes that the hunger for power that he had did him really dirty, and that it was actually a bad idea to go for him, and that he actually sees that you're trying to help him. Because in previous quests, it seemed like Xeros wasn't the full-on bad guy, and obviously he was playing it off a little bit as well, and you know, it could all just be, as I said, this could all just be absolute BS. But what if, right, that corrupted, like shadow enema, what if it makes him realize that, you know what, he should have been on Earth. He should have been protecting his, well, technically they are his family with the eggs, to been aiding Seren and to be aiding the World Guardian in the protection of the world and other worlds as well with the eggs, and that he kind of feels guilty that an entire world was destroyed in Extinction from the Dragonkin, the original Dragonkin world, that it got destroyed because he wasn't there, and he thinks that he kind of needs to make it up. So that leads into Seren. What if Seren then thinks that you're siding with the enemy, that Xeros is still bad, and that you're not trying to get the eggs, like to help her protect the eggs, but you're trying to destroy them? And that is what sets her off, and that's what actually makes her realize the threat that she gave you at the end of Extinction with, if there's something that I feel like is threatening me, I will not hesitate to attack you. And then she will attack, which will lead us in the third Crystal Elite Dungeons relating to Seren, where you will be fighting Seren at the end. But let's first go back to the first boss. I think in that dungeon there would just be obviously elves, because elves are tied to Seren. There would be crystal shapeshifters, dark beasts, and all those types of enemies that kind of just relate to the elven storyline. Maybe even, what are they called? Enemus. They're also in Prifddinas, so I would assume that they would somehow tie to Seren as well. And when you get to the first boss, it's a crystal shapeshifter, which will be a hybrid boss, which will at points have immunity to different styles. So if you're going to do it solo, you will have to bring switches. And then when you go trio, obviously at any point someone can attack it. Maybe some prayer flicking to it as well. But when you go solo, actually some like hybrid is actually asked for. And even the reward from this elite dungeon could be maybe a hybrid weapon or some better hybrid armor or anything relating to it, because actually with the second boss as well, I think we could have a hybrid fight as well, where you would walk into this arena and you see these generals from Prifddinas, like the like leaders of each district. Maybe not all of them, maybe like 3 of them, and that they do believe in Seren, and that maybe the others don't. And maybe when you come in, you see them like kill one of the other like house leaders of Prifddinas, and then you're just like, okay, we're gonna fight these 3, you're gonna defeat them. Maybe not kill them, but definitely defeat them, but maybe even kill them. And that would also be like a tribrid fight, but in this case, they will just be attacking you with 3 different styles, so you would kind of have to deal with it. And obviously you can add in like different kinds of mechanics. As I said, like I'm no game developer, so I can't think of like some insane mechanics, but same like how with the Majorat boss, like relating to Terracat, like this could also have some very interesting mechanics where they all have like their unique little like gimmicky thing to do, and then you have 3 very interesting mechanics. Maybe they can even spawn minions, whatever, anything. Like just let me know as well what you think that would be sick. But then you would get to the Seren fight, obviously after defeating some more trash mobs. And I think it would be sick if it was the actual Seren fight from the quest, because that fight was sick. Like I really enjoyed it, but obviously with some added difficulty, maybe some more damage, and maybe after each phase you need to do some DPS on Seren, kind of how you do that on Zuk, and then if you fail the DPS check, you need to do the entire phase again. But after the 3 or 4 phases, you go into a phase 5. And remember what I said earlier, you cannot kill an Elder God, but this one seems to be, or God in general, but this one seems to be absolutely off the rails. So how do you take one out? What if you take on over Xeros? You've already been in Xeros' mind before in a different quest. So what if you now be able to take over his body? I have no idea how this would work in duos or trios, but that's for Jagex to figure out if this was ever to happen. But what if you take over Xeros and you'll be fighting Seren as Xeros in the 5th phase? I have no idea how that will work. And then at the end you might actually kill Seren, which would be sick if you kill Seren as Xeros. Like, hello. I don't know how that would work if you have like 3 Xeroses working around and him having his like own super abilities. Like, I think that would be cool. I think it would be really out there and it would be a very unique thing, and it would hopefully work very well. But I don't know, maybe you just get Xeros' power or anything, like just anything relating to Xeros, because I think that would be sick for like a phase 5 and actually killing Seren, because if anything, someone needs to die, bro. Like one of these gods needs to die just for some shock effect, but also because she's been annoying, bro. And then at the end of the thing, it's all good and Xeros takes over the protection of the X and he comes good and blah 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 blah. So what do you think of this idea? As I said, it is very out there, and it's a bit of a conspiracy theory more than an actual, like, I think that this is going to happen. But, you know, never say never. They've done weird things in the past as well, like some out there things, and this would be really cool. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Let me know what kind of, like, rewards you would love to see from this, like, what kind of mechanics, like, if you think this is even a cool idea. And as I said, like, give me your thoughts as well, like your ideas, your theories, because I love these kind of things. And as I said, if you want to see more of this, also let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you did enjoy this video, leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new. And my name's Zamorak, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.